Hello everyone, welcome to Nareen's Life with MS. This is Nareen and it's time for what MS taught me. And today I want to talk about something that MS definitely taught me. I think it is probably the only real, the only very brutal lesson I got from MS. And that is you have to be good with your inner compass once you have MS. It is so important that you know exactly where everything is, not only so that you don't trip over things or fall over things, but more so that you know where the bathrooms are. And trust me, I have had enough experiences of having accidents, sometimes peeing on sides of buildings. I mean, if we consider that as like the human way of like owning land, I own a lot of my college. But apart from that, you definitely need to know a lot of times where the bathrooms are, especially when you are doing certain things like going to the movies, for instance, um, watching a play. Before you actually enter the auditorium, or wherever you're going, right, the arena, I mean, um, you know I'm definitely a very big sports fan, and I would say this is a much bigger issue in stadiums than let's say in a movie theater or an auditorium, to know where the bathrooms are, right? This is not more a story about planning when you're going to use the bathroom. It's more of a, do you know where the bathroom is? Do you have it all mapped out in your head that uh, from wherever you are sitting, to stand up, to walk x spaces, so that you can reach the next toilet, is definitely going to help you out. And for that, you definitely need to either improve your inner compass or develop that inner compass, so that you are able to understand, okay, here's where the washroom is, right? Unless you're happy with being in soiled clothes, it is definitely one of those things that I had to learn slightly the harder way, especially because when these kinds of situations or these kinds of symptoms were popping up, I was actually in college. So a lot of times I was either outside, I was probably not in the right state of mind anyway, and on top of that, I was probably very far away from the next building, right? I mean, now if it was an empty space, okay, fine, I had places. But sometimes it would be more that you know all of the buildings around me were houses, right? Houses where people that I didn't know lived, right? So those kinds of things definitely do happen, and definitely do exist. So a lot of times I would suggest that the one thing that you should always do, especially when you are sort of in an if you're definitely indoors, right, let's say an office space, a college building, even let's say someone else's house, or even a hotel for that matter, where the washrooms are located, right? You have easy access to them, and definitely you know if you are using any form of walking aid or any mobility aid for that matter, that you inform whoever whomever is helping you with that, right? That you know where and a lot of times what ends up happening is, say you are in a wheelchair, sometimes the person pushing the wheelchair might not actually know where the washroom is, so it really boils down to you to know what your internal compass is mapping for you. I always like to think that I've got like a um, little mapping agent in my brain, almost like a mapping application that is pretty much mapping each indoor surface with all of the restrooms, right? I mean, of course there will be other things that you would add, say garbage area, if where you can throw away all of your garbage. If you want something else, say the cafeteria, for example, if you're in an office setting or even in a hospital for that matter, you should always have that map running, right? So that you are able to identify, you are able to access these places in time. Because a lot of times, I mean, you can definitely have an accident, say in certain places where the luck is not on your side. But when you are in a place where you have to be for a very long time, um, you know being in clothes that are maybe not as clean as they were when you were leaving the house is honestly not a very comfortable feeling. And that's why I wanted to dedicate today to that lesson, probably the most important lesson that MS taught me. And I do hope that let's say especially if you are an MS patient, or even if you're not an MS patient, right? A lot of people have overactive or hyperactive bladders, bowels, you name it. If you happen to be one of those people, or even if you're not one of those people, but push comes to shove, you need to be able to uh, navigate yourself to the nearest bathroom, so that, or the nearest restroom, or the nearest powder room, so that you can at least gain a little bit of dignity right, by doing the right thing, doing the committing the right action in the right place at the right time, rather than having all of that happen in the wrong way. So that, I would say, is maybe one of the biggest lessons that MS has taught me. And do share your stories, do share your thoughts, your insights, your experiences of when, let's say, your internal purpose worked for you or did not work for you. And hopefully I get a lot more positive stories, but it can swing the other way as well. Either way, I do want to get the conversation started, so please do share your comments. But of course, with that said, this is Naren Zai with MS. I am Naren, and here's wishing you a good night, sweet dreams, and considering we've already hit hump day, it's all downhill from here. Good night and bye.